The theme of today is the schedule is settling. So that's going to be kind of what's driving a lot of the discussion. The schedule is settling. So welcome to this family chat edition, and let's get after it. So this next slide is going to be perhaps a little overwhelming, but it's going to set the agenda for what we're going to be talking about. And the first part on the agenda is the B day schedule is set and ready to go. So, B day, if you're not familiar with our terminology, B day is essentially the Thursday that we will now be consolidating everything to Lake Oswego. So, B day will be at our Lake Oswego Family Center, which is where I'm currently at right now. I'm in Lake Oswego. Our family center is right across the street at Lake Bible. But that's where we're going to be doing all of our family center activities. So we're going to talk about a lot of that today. But the B day schedule set and ready to go. That means that we have our math and our writing is all kind of put together in an orderly schedule, and we're ready to share that. So if you are ready to sign up, we are going to be sharing that this upcoming week, so you'll know what to expect, what time your math will be, and all that. So the B day schedule, like I said, is ready to go. This was a big accomplishment. There's a lot of moving pieces. And the reason for the shift, the reason we brought it all into town, into one spot, rather than having it in Lake Oswego and Oregon City, is simply we didn't want to spread ourselves too thin. And we wanted really the quality of the product to be centralized. So rather than having a bunch of different teachers, we wanted to consolidate down to a minimum amount of teachers and really pour in the quality, pour in the value, have that be centered. And the ultimate way we were going to be able to do that is have it be in one spot. So rather than having it divided and conquered, we're going to just bring it all into one space. So that's the reason for the shift. And if you were registered for Oregon City B Day, you are perfectly transferred over unless you don't want to. But everything's just transferring right over to the Lake Oswego, and it's gonna make it a lot smoother. So we're really excited for that. And ultimately, this the way a lot of this has unfolded has been really in the Lord's timing. But ultimately, it's been really revealing that the Lake Oswego campus has been really emerging, and the Lord just really has had His hand in that, allowing us to do things that we didn't know we were going to be able to do when we initially rolled out the B Day schedule for Oregon City. So it's a little bit of it's a blessing that we are able to do it, and an inconvenience that we had to do it this late in the game. But that's the reason for the switch. So we're moving everything to Lako for our B Day, and it's getting ready. It's set and ready to go. We will be publishing that schedule this week with a very detailed calendar that's very visual. So for all you visual learners out there like myself, you'll be able to see how all the classes stack up in a single order, including electives, including focus classes, which we'll talk more about in a minute. So B Day schedule, and piggybacking off that, we're going to be talking about the writing classes, which we're really kind of formally calling our English class, because it's really more of it's more than just writing, especially as you get into the older grades. But the younger ages, it's really going to be focused IEW themed writing. And again, we're centralizing that at Lako just to capsulate and bring in the quality teaching there. But that will be moving to B Day. So that was formerly on A Day. And part of that, the switcheroo, is to bring that to B Day. That way we're not spreading our writing too thin. We can consolidate that into one spot and really have a focused, you know, teaching and focused classes where the quality really is there. And piggybacking off of that, we're able to really build on a solid foundation with the writing and not dilute the product. So that's going to be on B days instead of A days. And so what we're going to be doing is bringing literature from B days and putting that onto A day. And that works out beautifully because we're going to couple literature with our history class. And so literature and history are going to be really peanut butter and jelly of the same class. And so there's really not going to be an advantage to separating those out. We're going to be putting them together. And what's going to happen is the literature is really going to drive the history, and the history is going to really complement the literature. So a lot of the homework, not all of it, but a lot of it will be reading literature stuff of historical fiction, but also stuff that really helps bring the historical parts that we're studying to life. So history and literature will be on A days, and those will be the focus classes after the regular Timber Trails core, the core 9 to noon programming. So focus classes are now going to be literature and history on A day and math and English on B day. And so I want to build out a little bit more. This is on the fourth bullet. Build out a little more on the history class and curricula adjustment. And I say curricula, not to be pretentious, but that is the plural word for curriculum. And that's just to answer the question. We are looking to build, not take away, but build more of a curriculum out for history. So that we were kind of looking at our history program, and we were set to use Knotgrass exclusively, and it was not what we wanted it to be. We were just looking at it and we're like, something's not right. We want to make this a little more robust, a little more involved, a little more detailed, and we weren't able to get there with just a single curriculum. So rather than taking one away, we're adding not one but 2 curriculums. So we're going to be rolling really with 3 curriculums. And so the curriculums we're going to be using is Knotgrass and the Star Spangled Story, and we're going to be working with the master books, the Story of the U.S., Story of America, 1, 2, and 3. This year is going to be 1, and Beautiful Feet, this early American history. What the Beautiful Feet will be able to do is it's going to drive a lot of our literature. And so what it does is it really tells history through literature, which is an amazing learning tool to have. So we're going to have the kids learn history through reading really robust and very well established books that will drive a lot of the understanding and deep rootedness of history, and then learning the facts in the history class, tracking through these very robust curriculums. And just a side note on that, the master books one that we're going to be switching to, it's written by a really neat Christian lady named Angela Odell, and she is pretty dialed. She has a really awesome podcast that that really, honestly, I would love to listen to it by myself. And so this she's a neat Christian lady that has a really good knack for communicating history well to kiddos, and just in a way that's understandable. And that kind of piggies into the other idea of really allowing a streamlined history in a literature class that kind of transcends the grade school. That way it's not so as segmented as it was or siloed out, but that way you as a family can comprehensively do history together. When you're tracking the same books, we're going to throw the older kids a bone, essentially give them a little more, and maybe require a little less in the in-class stuff, but ultimately 3rd through 6th will be together. That will allow us to again have more of a quality class, but it'll be able for you as the family will be able to track with it more as a family unit, rather than have it be segmented together. So that's an adjustment we felt was necessary, and we wanted to do it earlier than later. But so it's a big thing. This is going to be reflected on our curriculum and programming page. So if you go to the page, it's kidsofgrace.com/classes, you'll be able to see all of the adjustments that we made. And just a side note, you will not have to buy all of these curriculums. That's something that we want to make very clear for the history and literature. We want to make this as easy for you guys as possible. So if you have bought the Knotgrasses or you have any of these other ones, that's gonna be awesome. The class will be somewhat transcendent from the curriculum. We're going to be using it to direct a lot of the in stuff, but the at home is going to be directed by the literature and by what we send home. So the class will be a genuine class for that reason. So That's a big distinction that we wanted to make. So you can feel free to go to the class and curricula page. It's going to show all the adjustments that we've been making and really hone in on what we're doing. So we're really excited for that. So check that out. And that won't tell you when the class will be. Just know that the focus classes will always follow the regular Timber Trails programming. So from 9 to noon on whatever day your A day is. After that will be the history class and and literature class, and we're also adding a geography component to it as well. So very exciting, good news on that. So shifting gears a bit here, the electives are open and are awesome. We are very excited for what doors have been opened for our electives. We have a lot, and I'm going to kind of break some down, as you can see down the page, break some down a little bit, but we have a lot of electives. So if you are not interested necessarily in joining Timber Trails in a formal classroom setting and all that, in a formal, school setting, if you want just a one-off class, an elective would be a fantastic option for your family. So if you're just interested in learning art, learning painting, drawing, things like that, electives are right up your alley. We have kids baking classes, we have a kids choir, we have kids theater, we have PE classes. So we have a lot of options for families. If that's all you want, if you have your social, your curriculum, or your educational things over there, even if you go to a private school, frankly, if you are going to a public school, frankly, you can have the option to still join an elective. So that's gonna be a really neat dynamic. And I'm gonna skip down actually to that differences, and we'll talk about those differences. So Timber Trails really is our micro school. And what that is essentially our our bread and butter. It's what we hit what was formerly called the co-op, but it is the flagship thing that we do. Now, what that looks like, it's divided into, like I said, A day and B day, and it's really just for programming. So on the first part of A day is what was previously known as the co-op, and you can opt just to do that, and you can add a focus class, which is now the literature and history. So put that in on one day, and that's a full day. Then our B day is really driving that academics of math and English. So if you wanted to do a full comprehensive educational experience, Timber Trails is a great micro school for you. Now, the difference between that and electives is you can choose to do Timber Trails and nothing else, or you can do Timber Trails and add electives. So you could add baking, you can add sewing, you can add PE, you can add all of these other things to just build out a more robust educational experience. Or you can just do the elective. So if maybe you're involved in another community, but you still want to take some other things, you can do that through our elective. So it can be whatever you need it to be in that way. And so that's something that we really wanted to build out. And then, frankly, it is a little complicated at times because we are trying to do something pretty new and pretty different where you can truly customize your kids' education. That is something unique to what we're doing, whereas a lot of other programs, it's you do it and you only can do their program. We're allowing for a lot of customization, which will present a lot of learning curves, which we're experiencing. But ultimately, I think it's going to be a very strong showing. So I'll talk more in detail about these electives in a second. But getting back to our regular, we're right about in the middle of the bullets here. And that's a note, we are still looking for strong teachers for our micro school for Canby and or Oregon City. So we need just a few solid teachers. If you're looking to maybe offset the cost and you feel called or at least competent in doing this, we'd love for you to reach out to us. And we do compensate, so it's not just a volunteer situation. But if you really have a heart to lead and guide kids, and it's going to be pretty central to what you're, it's going to be central to what you're doing. So most of the hours you'd be working are the day of anyways, but something that would actually really help us out. So if you're interested, namely in Canby or Oregon City, and this might be a good time to talk about Newberg too. We definitely need that for Newberg. Newberg is if you're interested in Newberg, we need people to join the Newberg campus. Otherwise, it we may need to make some adjustments on that. The Newberg, if you're in the Newberg area and want to join, we would love to have you. So please consider joining the Newberg campus if that's where you're at. So moving to the academic and activities calendar, one of the things that we have published, and this is on the drop-down menu. If you go to our website, and at the top bar, you'll see Timber Trails. You drop down, you can see our academic and activities calendar. It's a bit of a living document. However, it is fairly set. There are a few TBAs in there, and a lot of that is looking to be scheduled and settled within a couple of weeks here and that's namely like when our Christmas production of The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe will be, and things like that. And so that's going to be coming up in a few. We're going to make that a public announcement in the next few days on that. But you can see when our spirit weeks are. We're doing Superhero Day again and 80s week, things like that. And you'll be able to see what days off we have. So if you're looking to plan vacations, that's a good way to do that. So if you go to the academic and activities calendar, we are looking to build out the Bible Bee even more robustly. And one of the fun things about having different campuses is we're hoping to have an all-around champion for the Bible Bee. So we'll have even campuses competing against each other. So I'm actually, getting pretty geeked out about that, getting pretty excited. But so you'll see all of those played out. We have a talent show, things like that. And so be looking for that. Additionally, our focus classes, I wanted to just circle back on those. Just the distinction between those and the core programming. Those will look a lot more like traditional classes. And I believe that the term is called the university model. And what that really is where you go to a class. And it is part of the micro school, but rather than the first segment, which is going to essentially be that traditional school classroom experience, this one's going to be the focus classes are just that. They are focused. And so you're not going to be dealing with a lot of, inner classroom experiences. It's not going to be a straight lecture. So don't hear that, but it's going to be sitting and learning. So the goal is that the teachers want to make that as interactive and as fun as possible, but it will be focused in on a subject. It's not going to have a bunch of other subjects weaving in and out. And there's not going to be other activities other than what is on the table for that. So I've already explained the difference between Timber Trails and the electives. Let me build out electives a little more, because again, something that we're very excited about. And now that we really have a family center to hang our hat on, if you don't know, we have assumed the space of that was formerly used by St. Stephen's. We are now the occupiers of that and over at Lake Bible Church, and it is a fantastic space, and it really allows us to do kind of the dream, if you would. So we're going to be able to run all sorts of art classes, all sorts of baking classes, choir, PE, theater, and the cool thing is the Lord has really just brought some amazing teachers to us, fully gifted in these areas. So we have baking teacher who has a lot of really certified experience. Our art teacher Jasmine, she's amazing. She knows her stuff. Alice, can't speak highly enough about her ability to lead and direct choir, and so we have a really great system and a bunch of great teachers in place. And so we're very excited to just announce it and promote those to you guys. And again, the electives can be a one-off. So you do not have to be a part of Timber Trails to be in an elective. Now, as a side note to that, you will have to agree and be in full submission and compliance with our doctrinal statements and our ethical statements. That way we're all on the same page, going the same direction. So the electives won't be the Wild West when it comes to ideas and stuff like that. But we are allowing everyone to, if that's all that you want to do, you will have an ability to do that. And so just to build out a little more on the family center, we are looking to run programming uniquely to the family center. So what the family center will allow us to do is, having a robust library that we're really looking to triple and double and quadruple down on from our initial library experience, but build out a library that is robust and able to, in a lot of ways, take away the sting of the public library, where you don't have to use that. So bringing in reference books, bringing in a lot of details to that. So the library can, but we're also looking to add the programming that you would normally find in a library. Now, we kind of missed the boat on the summer reading program this year, but hopefully next year. But we're going to look to run a lot of programming like story time, have play areas that would be unique to libraries, and ultimately other programming too, like a science fair, and even bringing in special features. One thing we brought in a couple years back to our co-op was the Reptile Man, but something like that, where it's a one-off where you can attend. And to do that, we would need to host a membership. And so, if you are interested in joining the family center, which would be unique to electives and unique to timber trails, but a family center membership that would be a minimal cost, but would help us offset these prices, but would allow you to have full access to that, is something that we're looking to unroll soon, and they would cover your whole family for a year. So if you're otherwise completely content with everything else you're doing, but hey, that library sounds pretty cool, that's something that we're looking to allow for families to have access to, but allows us to do it because, again, one of the other things that people don't know is that we don't take any money from government, and really everything that we get, unless it's completely donated, it is from tuition, from money recurred in. So, and as you know, times can be a little tough right now. So we don't have any benefactors. We don't have a deep pocketbook somewhere else, some offshore account. we are paying all of what we're doing, from paying our teachers, paying for classes, paying the rent from tuition. So we will need to charge for a lot of things unless we can get a more of a large donation system in. But so that's why we don't want to be nickel and diming you guys, but the idea is like to bring in and do this programming where you will have to offset costs, and that will require a bit of a registration fee. So that is something we're going to look into. As always, we really desire to make this affordable for families, and so I know that there was a price jump and people were a bit scandalized potentially by that, but it's just the economics of our day. So we don't want to uh we can't be losing money constantly, but we're driving a pretty narrow margin on that. So with that said, we have the future of family chat. So one thing that I'm looking to commit to is doing a weekly touch point. It won't necessarily always be this much of a barn burner, this much stuff going on, but just have regular touch points once a month, once a week on Mondays, either 10 or 9. I'll send out a note on that, but just schedule it out. And if you can't make it, it'll be recorded and posted. But that way, you guys can have just regular cadences, regular touch points on updates. Because I know emails are fine, but a lot of times you don't hear it. So that's something that we're looking to do. So we're going to be targeting Monday mornings. So whether it's at 9 or 10, we'll announce that this week. But so we're going to keep the family chats going. That way, you guys can hear straight from the horse's mouth what's coming up. So and how and any adjustments that we're making, and hopefully we're not making much more adjustments. We're just going to be rolling out what we've already said we're going to be doing. So that's something we're looking to unroll very soon here. And so starting next week, we'll pick it up Monday mornings, keep it going unless otherwise notified. If for whatever reason I'm not able to do it, I will pre-record it for Mondays. So it may not always be live, but there will be a video touch point on Mondays. So with that said, I will be taking questions. So this is where we'll be ending our recorded version. So